All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, another WNBA video. We had two primetime games over the weekend. One really disappointing blowout, the other one a fairly entertaining game. We had Aces versus the Lynx, and we had the Fever versus the Storm on Saturday and Sunday, respectively. I'm going to break down the games a little bit. There's some rumors and some trade deadline stuff I want to get into here, and then the couple days following after this video comes out, because the trade deadline is the 7th for the WNBA, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But that will get its own video eventually. So if you like what I say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment it down below. Here's like the vibes, consider subscribing. So I was debating which game to talk about first because Lynx Aces happened first, and it was a blowout. It was a blowout for my Aces. Nothing of note happened really. Um, There was an injury, but we'll get to that. And then there was Storm versus Fever, and that game was way more entertaining than the Aces versus the Lynx. Um, but I feel like I need to talk about the Aces because I just need to get some stuff off my chest about this team. Um, the Aces are my team. I've been a fan of the Aces since they were the Stars before they moved to Las Vegas, and they lost this game to they had 58 and the Lynx had 111 points. Um, and the game was basically over by halftime, and everybody wanted to go home. Both coaches wanted to go home. The refs wanted to go home. I'm surprised the fans didn't go home. I assume a lot of them did, but the game was over. There was no chance of a comeback. There was never anything the Aces could do against the Lynx, and the Lynx look like they're on a championship trajectory right now. They just look unstoppable. And the crazy thing is they made an addition to this team as well over the weekend, which I forgot to mention. They made a trade. We'll get to that. Um, but let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game. And I'm not going to get too deep into detail because it was a blowout. There really isn't anything to talk about from the Lynx side. I'll say this right now. The Lynx played a perfect game of basketball. Everybody was firing on all cylinders. It was a beatdown. It was. It sort of reminded me of like whenever like because the Aces are a championship team, they're a championship organization. They're the only team to win back-to-back championships. Um, this I almost said century, this decade and a half, um, and they were looked at as like the organization to be, and the rug has been pulled right out from under them. The Aces I'm talking about, and the Lynx have become a championship organization, soon to be championship organization. I think, or championship level, I should say, organization. The Liberty have become a championship organization, and this back half of the decade looks like it's going to belong to those two teams. And particularly in this game, the roster construction. I've I've been so disappointed with this roster construction um, for the Aces from the outset of the season. I was like, this roster is terrible. This roster is not going to do anything. Um, it was it was poorly put together. It was made almost on the fly because Kelsey Plum didn't want to be in Vegas anymore, and they've had roster troubles from the outset, from when Bill Laimbeer was the coach, and now they have Becky Hammond, who's the coach, who's won them back-to-back championships, and who's the GM, who's making all these decisions. And that's never a good mix. Being the coach and GM is never a good mix because the person you're playing for is also your boss in a sense. Like it's different when you're a coach because you're somebody the players can lean on, they can be open with, they can be honest with, and you can trust that they'll keep your secrets and stuff and keep the confidence in you. When you're the coach and the GM, that coach knows everything about you essentially and knows your value and knows how you're feeling, and you really have nobody to go to inside the organization. That's another whole other thing, but the roster construction this year is god awful. God awful. I'm just gonna rant and just say what I think because I think in the back half of this season, the these conversations are gonna start more. Whenever I've watched an Aces game or watched any WNBA like mainstream media, there was like, "Oh, you're sleeping on the Aces. The Aces are gonna make a run." As an Aces fan, I could tell you that run isn't happening. They had a great game yesterday. It was. And Jewel Lloyd played well. Jackie Young played well. Asia Wilson played well. That was last game. This was the 2nd of August. So we're talking about this game. And I'm still in full panic. I'm in a full panic mode. Like don't get it twisted. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying as like, oh, they won bad game, they won good game. I need you to put games together consistently. I'm not impressed with one win anymore. I'm not impressed with it because it doesn't do anything for me. You're 14-14 on the season. You're 500. You're 7-5 at home. It doesn't do anything for me. I mean, it does in the sense of like you're probably going to be in the playoff picture, but can you win a playoff series? Hell no. Hell no. And to dive into this game a little bit, this was a back to back for them. What was it, a back to back or no? They're playing. They're on the first half of a back to back, so they had to play this game and then they had to play again tomorrow. Becky Hammond, the coach, literally took everybody out with like 3 minutes, with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and put all the bench players in. So the starters really didn't get any run. Um, Asia Wilson 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Let's see, 1 turnover, or 2 turnovers, 1 personal foul. 11, 4 for 11, 1 of 1 from three. She was trying her hardest, but she just didn't look herself. She had no help, and I've been very disappointed with the lineups, not just the roster construction, but the lineups. Um, when I look at this roster, well, it's just the starting lineup for this game. It includes Chelsea Gray at the 1, Jackie Young at the 2, Asia at the 3, Christian Kirsten, however you say it, Bell at the 4, and Alyssa Smith at the 5. Um, I will speak for Aces fans, and I will speak for everybody who has enjoyed Aces basketball. Um, Nobody wants to see Kirsten Bell in the starting lineup. It does nothing. It does nothing. She's a body out there. If you could run 4-on-5, they probably would have rather have run 4-on-5, and just said we don't need the fifth player in the starting lineup. She had 4 points, 2 turnovers, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Did not make a three. Took 3 of them. 2 of 7. I'm not hating on Christian as a person, but as a player, man, just doing cardio out there. Every time I see her out there, it's either a blowout, which we're winning, or it's either a beatdown, which we're not winning. And I just really don't care if she's out there. But for her to be inserted in the starting lineup against a championship caliber team, unacceptable, unacceptable. Just and the thing is, this is the problem because you have nobody else to turn to. You have nobody else to turn to. This roster is so poorly constructed. The rest of the starting lineup, Melissa Smith, 7 points, one steal, 2 rebounds. She tries her ass off, man. I'll give her that. Melissa Smith is a great pickup mid-season. She tries her butt off, but I just trying your butt off isn't enough when you're not a championship team. You actually need to have talent. You know, in the past, when I say these things, Melissa Smith, Kristen Bell, Kia Stokes, Mega Goose Stefan, Dana Evans. I'm reading off the roster. Those are neat players. They're cute little players, right? For championship teams, they add value to a championship team. When you're not a championship team and these one-dimensional, two-dimensional players are on your roster, they don't add anything. They simply don't add anything effective enough or potent enough to your offense to be like, oh yeah, Melissa Smith, I would love her as a backup 5. As my starting 5? Hell no. Melissa Smith as a backup 5 is the dream backup for any team because she tries hard, she gets good rebounds, she sets good screens. She has some moments where she can do her own little thing in the post or like get a tip, tip the ball back in. It's fine. Not a starting center, but great if this was a championship team and somebody else was starting in front of her. And that's the whole thing with this roster is like, and again, some of these players had good games yesterday, but this is a game I'm talking about in which they're playing a championship level team, and they just didn't stack up at all. They just didn't stack up at all. They looked lost. Um, Chelsea Gray, I hate to say it, it's time to pack it up. It's time to pack it up. You're a little too old. Chelsea Gray as a backup, backup point guard, sign me up. As a starting guard, when the league consistently gets younger and younger, and she has to chase around these guards, these younger guards, because you can only hide for so long on defense. You go hide. Jackie Young can only hide Chelsea Gray for so long on defense. You know they're gonna get that switch. They're gonna switch it every time. And Chelsea Gray still has brilliant moments as a championship level point guard. But now that this team is not a championship level team, you're going to need to bring in another guard that can speed up the pace, that can play with Jackie Young, that has no problem speeding it up to an insane pace. Where players like Melissa Smith can run out there. Asia Gray is a great runner. Um, Megan Gustafson's a good runner. Kia Stokes, not the greatest runner, but you need somebody a taller center at most times in this situation. Um, Chelsea Gray, it's time to pack it up. I don't think they'll ever force her out. I think they're just waiting for her to retire. But you need to hand over the keys to Jackie Young, and Becky Hammond needs to get a younger point guard in here because Chelsea Gray isn't helping enough. Slowing the pace down, getting into these actions that don't work. They don't work because they don't have the right roster. Chelsea Gray works when you have the right roster and you can slow down the pace. Everybody knows where they're going. There's enough. Everybody is a 3 point threat or a mid range threat. Everybody's a dive to the basket threat. When that isn't the case, Chelsea Gray becomes very redundant in a league that wants to push the pace. And I can only tip my hat to the players that somewhat consistently play well. And Jackie Young. Um, Jackie Young's okay. I've never been fully sold on Jackie Young, but she surprises me every time I'm about to give up on Jackie Young. She has a great game. Like this game, she had 6 points against the Lynx. She had 6 points, one steal, 3 assists, 1 rebound, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Did not make a three. 3 of 7 from field goal. Right. This was on the 2nd of August. We go look at her game logs. She played on the 3rd, the end of a back to back. Oh my God, get this ad out of my face. Um, and she had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. Like every time I'm about to give up, I'm like, oh, I don't know. She's kind of bad, you know. Like, I don't know. She has a good game, and I think she just needs more opportunity to do that. And it's just, yeah. Um, Drew Lloyd came off the bench this game. Had some brighter-ish moments in this Lynx game. 12 points, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers, 1 block, 1 personal foul, 1 of 5 from three, 5 of 10 from field goal in 19 minutes off the bench. Um, Same thing with Jackie Young. Every time I'm about to give up on Jewel Lloyd and be like, just trade her, get her off the team next season. I She has a good game, um, and Jewel Lloyd gets a little bit of a pass because it's her first year on the roster. She doesn't know the offense. She doesn't. It's a bit of a different role for her. To be honest, maybe she isn't the second option. She's probably the third option at this point. It's Asia and Jackie, and then Jewel, and then Chelsea, and that is up for debate and moving around the players. But I don't think Jewel is completely comfortable being that third star, and she's only the third star because she's not playing as well. If she plays well, she's the second best player on this team, but she hasn't been playing well consistently enough to earn that right. And her and Jackie Young are going to have to figure that out. Because A'ja Wilson knows who she is. She's the star of this team. She's a 3-time MVP. Um, I don't want to say has been playing like an MVP, but the league is sort of caught up in the sense of like there's a couple players that do what A'ja Wilson does, and they're on a better team, so they look better. Is my point. Um, and this was just a disappointing game overall for the Aces. And here's the thing. This is where I'll dip into some trade deadline stuff. I don't think there's a trade that fixes this team this season. I think you, I. This sounds crazy as a fan of the team, but I want them to lose. I want them to lose, so they have to look themselves in the mirror and say, "This team is not good enough. We need to tear it down and start over." And Starting over might be looking at Becky Hammond, head coach and general manager, or president of basketball operations, and saying, "Becky, you just need to be a coach. You have to be the coach for these next 2 to 3 years, probably 2 years. And if you can't prove you can't bring this team back to a championship level, you're out of here. You're out of here." I'm going to give Becky some leeway because it's her fault. She has to. She made the bed. She's got to sit in it. This roster sucks, and you could tell throughout the course of this game, she was just dumbfounded. Like she was angry, but you could also see she was just lost. And when your coach is lost and looks like just like in awe and is mad, that's when you know you've messed up your roster construction and you've messed up the team as a whole this season. And this will be a lost season for the Aces. Um, but again, I want them to lose. I would like them to make the playoffs so I could see them play a little more as an Aces fan, but I think they deserve to lose so they can look themselves in the mirror and say this season was a failure. There's nothing positive to take away from this season. Asia Wilson is getting lapped in MVP conversations right now by Alyssa Thomas and Nafisa Collier. And none of these players have really shown anything that they've grown. Um, Jewel Lloyd's going to get a pass this year. It's a feeling out year. Next year is going to be the year we're really going to be able to judge her. Jackie Young has to improve um, at all aspects of her game to push it to that next level. She's an all-star player, but I need her to be a championship level guard. I can't just have her being an all-star. All-star is cute. All-star is fun, but it's not something that you should pat yourself on the back when you have a lost season like this, when you could have come out and had a much better season, a more productive season, and that's really it for this part for the Aces. I don't think there's anything that fixes this team. I've been a huge proponent, and I've said it 100 times in any video I've talked about the Aces. I would try to go get Aaliyah Edwards from Washington. At least try to put some sort of band-aid on the situation if you can. If it means getting rid of anybody, everybody's on the table except Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, and Alyssa Smith at this point. Everybody's on the table. You could have whoever you want, but do I think it's going to happen? No. Um, well, we'll talk about that. I had a thought, but we'll save that for a little bit later. Um, Aces suck. I'm very disappointed in this season, and let's move on to the winners of this game who did everything right. And just because I'm not going to talk about them as much in as much detail doesn't mean I don't respect them and doesn't mean I don't appreciate what they did in this game because it was truly spectacular. It was a beatdown. It was a blowout. Actually, I could tell you what the biggest lead in this game was. The biggest lead of the game was 53 for the Lynx. Yeah. Um, Everybody did everything right. Let's see here. Again, the game was over by halftime, and then the Aces subbed all their bench players in with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Kale McBride, former ace, came back to. Was she? Yeah, she played for the Aces. Yeah, yeah, she played for the Aces. I was trying to think if she was if she was only a star or she was an ace. She was an ace. Um, Came back to the I guess it's what's it called the where do they play the Mandolin Bay Arena Stadium something like that. I think they play in the Mandolin Bay something. Kale McBride came back with a vengeance. Career high 8 of 10 from three, almost tying the league record of 9 threes made in a game. Could have passed it probably. 8 of 11 from field goal overall. 24 points, 3 steals, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. Basically, if the game wasn't out of reach before, she was just adding to it, kept adding to it. They could not stop her, had nobody to stop her. Um, 24 points for a former ace and now Minnesota Lynx, um, Kale McBride. Um, Crazy thing is, I really liked Kale McBride when she was a star slash an ace, and she never did this shit when she was a star and an ace. She never did this shit. Every time she just wouldn't show up in big games. She was never do it, and I would always get whenever she was on another team and I'd see her do good. I'm like, why could you do this when you're an ace? Nevertheless, great game for her. Courtney Williams, not her best game, but 9 points, 6 assists, or 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Just a pass, just being a pass the last couple games. When she hasn't had it going offensively, she's been really good defensively. Elena Smith, one of my favorite Minnesota Lynx. 7 points, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 assists, 6 rebounds. Pretty average night for her. Just defensive monster. Bridget Carrington, Collington, Bridget, 6 points, 2 of 3 from three, 2 of 4 from field goal. Really good stuff. Off the bench, Jessica Shepard and Natisha Heidemann, both 15 plus points. Natisha Heidemann made 3 out of 4 threes, just adding on top of the pain Aces fans were feeling. 6 of 10 from field goal. And yeah, the only dark spot for this Lynx win that they got in a convincing fashion was that Nafisa Collier did go down with what looked like a pretty severe ankle injury, and they confirmed it as an ankle injury. The Lynx did, and there's been no further update from what I could find. Um, my best guess is that, well, she went down. She was in pain. It looked terrible. Um, she was going in for a rebound, and she kind of just not slipped, but like she just fell over her own foot, and she like really badly turned it. And my working theory is that it's probably some ligament damage, and that's why she like looked like she was in a lot of pain. So you roll your ankle, it hurts, but she looked like she was in a lot of pain. My thought is probably some ligament damage. She's a game time decision, so it might not be, but she definitely sprained it pretty badly, and I wouldn't be surprised if she sat out at least a couple games. They have a huge lead on the rest of the league when it comes to being the best and having the most wins. So they could probably do without her for a couple games, but they will need her back if they are to finish off the season as the number 1 seed um, in the WNBA. I want to pull up the Lynx because they did make a trade here. They did make a trade, and this is one of those trades that the rich get richer. And the trade is, let me break it down so I can talk about it fully. This happened the next day, the third. So my when I saw this, my thought was like, oh, they're just getting some more insurance. They're getting some better players. The Lynx are getting a little bit better around the edges for this last push of the season and also for the playoffs, and just a little more insurance in case the Fisa Collier doesn't want to come back, or not doesn't want to come back, but doesn't want to, or they want to be more cautious with her. The trade was um, the Dallas Wings have traded Dejanay Carrington to the Minnesota Lynx. The Wings receive Diamond Miller and Carly Samuelson, who's been out. She's been dealing with an injury, and Minnesota's 2027 second round draft pick. In order to complete the trade, the Wings have waived Tiara McCowan. Um, so yeah, um, that's the trade. Dejanay Carrington, who I've been sort of mixed on. I think she is a bit of a dirty player, but she does play defense. She does give it her all. Um, she's a lot to handle in the sense of like she's very intense. She's the type of player that needs to be in a winning culture to look the best that she does. When she's on these like mediocre teams, like she was on the Wings, still has her moments because obviously she's a professional and she handles she always plays her heart out. Um, but she didn't look the best. She does reunite with um, Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann. They all played in Connecticut together. I think that was even as recent as 20, would that be 2022, 2023, somewhere around that ballpark. And she reunites with the Lynx head coach, who I just saw. I just saw her name and I'm misremembering it. Let's see here. Cheryl Reeves, who coached her, I believe, at some point in her career. Might have even been in Connecticut. Nevertheless, a reuniting for Dejanay Carrington to play with some familiar faces. Um, Probably going to be very big because one of my main concerns about the Lynx was preventing runs, slowing down all other really high-powered offenses, and especially lead guards. And Dejanay Carrington is what is it called, a point of attack defender. Um, she'll defend the other team's best guard slash wing. Um, my thought immediately was like, this is a great pickup because they they have a defender who can stop players like Sabrina Ionescu, who was a problem for them in the finals. And Dejanay Carrington, great body type, great hands, smart defender, can frustrate the hell out of guards like Sabrina, can punish them in the sense of push them further back on the 3 point line, run up on them on the 3 point line, get them in the lane. Dejanay Carrington, all the intangibles, all the great stuff that you need in a defender of other great guards. Really smart pickup, really good pickup because Courtney Williams doesn't cut it all the time. Natisha Heidemann doesn't cut it all the time. Kayla McBride has her defensive moments, but isn't really that great defensively. So yeah, really good pickup. And for the Wings, this is a tanking trade. This is so the team can be worse, so the team can tank for a higher draft pick. Right now, they are projected to have the #1 pick again. And if Lauren Betts does come out of UCLA, decides to go pro, smart center, big center, be a great pickup for the Wings when draft time comes around after this college season. So that's my thought about the trade that went down. I almost forgot about that. Now let's quickly talk about the other game, the Indiana Fever versus the Seattle Storm. The Indiana Fever still without um, Caitlin Clark. Damn, it's been so long. I almost forgot her name. um, this was a game I was very interested in. I really I love this game. This was a really fun game to watch. This might have been I don't even know. This might have the potential to have been game of the year or at least top 3 games of the year. Um, really interesting stuff. Um, really interesting game. Um, the Indiana Fever tie their longest win streak in franchise history this game with this win, and they look to break the longest win streak in franchise history in their next game. Who do they play next game? This is an interesting question. Let's see. Let's see. They play. Ooh, okay. They play the Sparks in LA. Interesting. Okay, okay, okay. And then they go to Phoenix to play um the Mercury. I made a whole video about the Mercury and the last time they played the Fever. If you want to check that, I'll put a card in the top right corner. Just click it; it will take you to the video. Anyways, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game. Talk about the game. The Indiana Fever narrowly won this game, 78 to the Seattle Storm 74. Um, the Fever had a great stretch. First quarter, second quarter, and then the third quarter, it sort of got a little frisky, a little tight, and then the fourth, it got really, 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 really tight. Um, for the Fever, Natasha Howard, 21 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, four personal fouls. Kelsey Mitchell, 9 points, not her best game. Would like to see more. The backcourt without Caitlin Clark is suspect at times because Kelsey Mitchell and Ari McDonald, not the best defensively, not the smartest offensively in the sense of they're a little bit careless with the ball. Their shot selection isn't the best. Um, 9 points for Kelsey Mitchell, 3 of 16 from field goal, 8 of none from three, or 0 of 8 from three. 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 turnovers. Ari McDonald, 9 points, 4 turnovers, 3 fouls, 9 assists, 4 rebounds. Um, 4 of 10 from field goal, 0 of 5 from three. So not the best night for the starting backcourt. Um, they had some really bad turnovers at the end of the game that could have cost them the game. Um, not saying they need um, Caitlin Clark back since they are on their longest win streak as a franchise, but I'm not loving this backcourt when it comes to playing against smarter veteran guards because Mitchell and McDonald both had costly turnovers at the end, had dumb shots. Um, not my favorite backcourt right now. But when they're going, they're going. So um, one of the saviors of the day, Aaliyah Boston with 16. The other savior, Sophie Cunningham with 17. Aaliyah Boston had 12 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block, 2 assists, only 3 personal fouls. Sophie Cunningham came in, hit some huge threes that stretched the lead. Down the stretch, really didn't have a lot of moments, but 4, 5, and 3, 5, 6 overall from field goal. Um, let's see here, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. Sophie Cunningham padded the lead and probably saved the lead with the three she made because they had a bit of a longer leash to have those mistakes down the stretch. Aaliyah Boston, great stuff. This is one of the games where I look at her, I'm like, she's the best player on this team, and that's sort of been the case right now. Is that people are realizing that Aaliyah Boston's really good, and I've been on the Aaliyah Boston train for at least since she's been drafted. She's had her ups and downs. She had some bad games, but this is her third year now. Yeah, this is her third year, something like that. Aaliyah Boston's great. Um, the read she has, the well, not the reach she had this game because she only had 2 assists, but she was bumping. She was in the paint. She was doing her thing. She was going up against some really tough front court. Um, what do you call it? Front court defense that the Seattle Storm have. She got cooked a couple times by the rookie. What was her name? Dominic Mangala. I forget how to say it. They said it different on the broadcast. I'd never heard it said like that before. She got worked a couple times, but she rallied back in 31 minutes, 16 points. What more can you ask for from the face of a franchise? Um, Nothing else off the bench. Lexi Hull, nothing burger. Sydney Colson, nothing burger. Cole Bibby had some real bad defensive moments. Nothing burger, 0 points. Um, Demirius Dantis, 6 points. Solid stuff. Um, but the Seattle Storm, man, the Seattle Storm almost weathered the storm. You like that joke? It's a terrible joke. Um, Neka Ogumake, 16 points, 7 of 20. Not her best game. Um, Sometimes this is the thing. Some of these older players, sometimes they really look their age. When I talked about it with Chelsea Gray on the Aces, Neka's sort of looking her age. I mean, you're getting down the stretch of a season here, start to look your age. Yeah, she's 35. Yeah, she's in MVP conversations, but she's 35. Down the stretch of these seasons, you start to look your age a little bit because the game still is moving at a fast pace. In the playoffs, it's going to slow down a little bit. Might look a little bit better, but look to rage this game. Gabby Williams, some really good stuff for her. Only 5-9 from field goal. Did not make a three. Took 2 of them. 12 points. 5 assists. 9 rebounds. Some really clutch stuff in there. Um, let's see. Skylar Diggins, 13 points. Monster down the end of this game. Some critical steals made the younger guards look or the more inexperienced guards look foolish. Some really critical steals. Um, Dominique Mongola, like I was talking about earlier, the French big woman, tall woman. I don't want to say big girl because that sounds offensive. She's tall, really tall. Almost had a put back or a dunk down the stretch, which would have been crazy. 6 of 10 from field goal. Took a three, did not make it. 12 points. Um, Down the stretch, they were giving her the ball, and she made some tough shots. Tiffany Mitchell, 4 points, and that was pretty much it for the Storm. They had a decent game, but uh, I don't know. It's tough out there. This is an old-ish team that I'm not totally sold on. I mean, I want to look at the standings here. Right now, they are. Um, Pardon me. I'm just looking through this. They. What is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are sixth in the whole WNBA. So they're gonna make the playoffs. Um, but the Aces are creeping up on them. The Valkyries are creeping up on them. Um, the Mystics are kind of still in it, and the Sparks are kind of still in it. We'll see what happens. How many games do we have left in total? This is an interesting situation here. We still have a handful of games left. up until early September. So about a month, I would say a little over a month left of basketball. Um, but um, some playoff pictures are going to start taking shape. Um, and that's it for the two games. The other thing I wanted to briefly talk about, and again, I'm going to make another video later in the week, not too much later, but the trade deadline is coming up, and Satu Sabali of the Phoenix Mercury is apparently unhappy, and she's out for personal reasons right now. This is all speculation. This is all speculation. Um, but it's something I'm super interesting because the Mercury, even though they're the fourth best team in the league, there've always I've used this analogy before. There've been some holes in the ship for a long time now. It's always been locker room issues. It's never been the actual play on the court. It's always been locker room issues for this team. And it's slightly concerning because when you can't keep a core together and your core is essentially an older team right now without Satu, because if I go look at this roster right now, it is a bit of an older team. Um, yeah, Dewana Bonner 37, Clea Copper 30, um, Alyssa Thomas 33, Sammy Whitcomb 35, 37. Um, without Satu, it's a bit of an older team, and Satu's 27 herself, but in respect, and in this is crazy. In comparison to the other players, Dewana Bonner's 10 years older than Satu, which is crazy. And my thought is if there really is locker room issues or just franchise issues behind the scenes, um, this is a concerning problem, a concerning trend that if they do indeed trade Satu before the trade deadline, which would have to happen very quickly, would have to happen in less than, what would that be, like less than 100 hours from now, from Monday, because the trade deadline's on Thursday. Um, this is an older team, and you're gonna have to rebuild it again. And I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. Alyssa Thomas is like second in MVP in the MVP race right now. She has like the most triple doubles in the WNBA right now. She's 33. Are you really gonna really make another mistake of letting another star go in Satu, who you just signed this last offseason, who wanted to come to Phoenix for an older core that probably has what 3-4 years left in it? I wouldn't do that. There was something that I said that I wanted to find him looking through some stuff. Um, oh yes, so here it is. I was talking about this on Reddit when this first came out, when Sasatu was out for personal reasons. Um, I said it looks like the Phoenix Mercury chase names and don't consider everyone will get along in the locker room. And somebody replied to my comment and said, it makes sense considering that the Mercury had the same ownership group as the Phoenix Suns, who notoriously just got out of a situation where they thought Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant would all work together, and it didn't end up, and now it's just Devin Booker. So we'll see. We'll get to more in detail on that in another video, but that is it. That is the weekend wrap up for the WNBA. Talked about some games. Um, we'll talk about the trade deadline. Maybe my next video Wednesday. Maybe I do want to wait and see if any trades do happen. There isn't a lot of buzz that I've really heard or really like concrete stuff, and the trade deadline really isn't super hot in the WNBA. But there's some potential. I do have a thought that that's been brewing, that's been percolating in my brain, but I want to get some stuff straight before I say it. Um, Nevertheless, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. A nice 39-40 minute video about the WNBA. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.